Hello, fellow Shakespeareans, and welcome to episode 8 of SONGspeare 2020. This one is all about Much Ado About Nothing. Much Ado About Nothing! Much Ado About Nothing is one of Shakespeare's most popular comedies. I think a lot of people know the Kenneth Branagh film. It features really witty back and forth between the two kind of central lovers, Benedick and Beatrice, without all of the sort of horrible misogyny of Taming of the Shrew. So a slightly less shrewish female and a slightly less misogynistic male make a slightly more comedic counterpart. It's a fairly musical play. There's music in certain scenes, there's a dance in one scene, and a lot of songs are referenced, even if they're not completely sung, so it sort of has a musical air about it. There are 3 songs that are sung in the script, where the words are actually written in. The first is Sigh No More Ladies, which is sung by Balthazar in full, so that one requires, well, I suppose you could cut it in a production, but it requires an actor who can sing, or it requires other musicians to be on stage, but it is supposed to be sung fully. The second song is a very brief rendition of God of Love by Benedick in Act 5, Scene 2. He doesn't sing very much of it, so I don't know that there are many settings of it. There are probably musical settings of it, and there are some traditional sources that might be the original melody, but we're not sure exactly what would have been sung in Shakespeare's time. Plus, it's like 2 lines. And then the third song is Pardon, Goddess of the Night, which is a funeral dirge. The words are by Shakespeare, and it's sung for the allegedly dead hero. Not to be confused with allegedly led. The allegedly dead hero, they're sung at her funeral, or sort of her mock funeral. So it's a funeral dirge, it's a funeral elegy. Different productions handle it differently. It might be sung by a single character, it might be sung by an entire group as a choral piece. It might not be sung at all. I would have kind of hoped that there would be really, really juicy, nice settings of that funeral dirge, the same as Fear No More, The Heat of the Sun from Cymbeline, but alas, there do not seem to be. For those of you who like the historical settings, I will put links to those below, to the Ross Duffin Shakespeare Songs book and CD. I don't have the book, so I don't know exactly what Duffin says about them, but they are kind of presumed. They're not all historically accurate versions of what we know Shakespeare to have used in productions, but they are sung on that album with older melodies that the words fit to, so they would have been possibilities. So links to those below. For this episode, we're once again doing 3 versions of the same text, so 3 different settings of Sigh No More Ladies. And in this case, it'll be Much Ado About the 20th Century. All pieces were written or published in the 20th century, so pretty new sounding music, I guess. I mean, it's not really that, none of them are that crazy or modern. Since we're looking at 3 different settings of the same text, I thought it might actually be nice to consider the text outside of the music, so here goes. Sigh no more, ladies, sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever. 1 foot in sea and 1 on shore, to one thing constant never. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey nonny nonny. Sing no more ditties, sing no more, of dumps so dull and heavy. The fraud of men was ever so, since summer first was levy. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey nonny nonny. So, in a play that centers a lot around this rumor that started about Hero being unfaithful before her wedding to Claudio, and that all of the trouble that causes, and the concocting of Hero's supposed death as a means of sort of getting back at or correcting it, this song sort of centerpieces the idea that men are deceivers. All men, always, from all time, men are deceptive. Ironically, it is men's deception that drives the plot of this entire play, right? That's the central conflict, is this deception that's concocted by 2 men. One note about language that you might have noticed in this rendition is the rhyme that starts the 2nd verse. Sing no more ditties, sing no more, of dumps so dull and heavy, the fraud of men was ever so, since summer first was levy. Leafy? So it means leafy ever since the first green leafy summer, which would mean the first one, right? For a long time. There are different ways to pronounce that word. Some people prefer the rhyme, right? Especially since you're singing, just rhyme heavy with levy. Some texts correct it to leafy, and then the Oxford English Dictionary actually indicates that the pronunciation should be levy, which indicates that the pronunciation of heavy has probably also changed. Quite accidentally, I pronounced it all three ways in the three different songs. So you'll hear each one and you can decide what you like. In the instance where it's leafy, I believe it was printed that way, it was published that way, so I decided to follow it. But in the other two, I think I just happened to do it different ways on the takes that I recorded. So you'll get to think about whether you like the rhyme or whether you like the, the word leafy. All of those are options, and I apparently didn't commit to any single one. Now, the first setting of Sigh No More Ladies is from a composer we've heard from before. His name is Frederick Keel, a British composer. He lived from 1872 to 1954, so he is a bridge from the 19th century into the 20th century, but this piece was published in the 20th century, I think 1922. This is the gentlest of the three settings, so if you imagine the men are wandering around in the orchard in the play, they're wandering through an orchard, and Balthazar is singing, maybe it's this sort of strolling tempo. I actually did one rendition that was faster and one rendition that was slower, since the marking is andante, and I'm always a proponent of, if you can walk to the tempo that you're trying to attempt an andante, because it means a walking tempo, then it's a good tempo. If you haven't tried or haven't thought about it, you need to think about your tempo. In this case, the music worked as a kind of slow walk, and then you could also fit sort of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, stepping on the actual 3-beat. The ultimate decision between the two tempos was that hey nani nani, hey nani nani didn't really feel like a ballad-like thing to say, so I decided to err on the faster side of andante. So without further ado, here is Frederick Keel's setting of Sigh No More Ladies.
Sigh no more, ladies, sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever. One foot in sea and one on shore. To one thing constant never. Then sigh not so, but let them go. And be blithe and bonny, converting all your songs of woe into hey nonny nonny, hey nonny nonny, hey nonny 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 nonny. Sing no more ditties, sing no more of dumb so dull and heavy. The fraud of men was ever so, since summer first was leafy. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your songs of woe into hey nonny nonny, hey nonny nonny, hey nonny 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 nonny.
The second setting of Sigh No More Ladies is from another composer we've heard from before, from his setting of 7 Shakespeare songs, Mervyn Horder. He was an English baron who lived from 1910 to 1977, so firmly rooted in the 20th century. And his set of 7 Shakespeare songs is one I really like. I think we've heard almost every single one of them so far, and I may wind up doing all 7. I'm not sure if there's one I have skipped or if I will skip another one, but I've done quite a few of them so far. So if you look back, you can sort of find the common thread of his compositional style between all of the movements. I've posted quite a few already. I know that I will use one of his settings for the next episode, so there can't be that many left. I think I've featured maybe 4 or 5 of them so far. This setting has the clearest kind of verse-chorus differentiation between the beginning of each verse and then the second half, which is the same text each time. So he actually has different musical sections, different time signature for each of those. So it goes from 6/8 to 4/4 to back to 6/8, back to 4/4. So it's a little bit more of a song form. I don't know that it would really be a convincing, strolling around lute song in Shakespearean terms or in the Shakespearean time period, but 20th century. It's a little bit of that structural and then a little bit of harmonic inventiveness as well. Since I can't think of much else to say, here is Mervyn Horder's setting of Sigh No More, Ladies.
Sigh no more, ladies, ladies, sigh no more, and what is was ever one foot in sea and one on shore, to one thing constant, never. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey, noddy, noddy, hey, noddy, noddy, hey, noddy, 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 noddy. Sing no more ditties, ladies, sing no more of dumb so dull and heavy, the fraud of man was ever so, since summer first was leaving. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey, noddy, noddy, hey, noddy, noddy, hey, noddy, 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 noddy.
The third setting of Sigh No More, Ladies is from a new composer, both a new composer to me since compiling my list of Shakespeare art songs, new composer to SONGspeare 2020, hopefully a new composer to you, Geoffrey Bush, another English composer. So this is one of those episodes that's all English. Shakespeare is English, the composers are English. Yay, England. Geoffrey Bush wrote a few Shakespeare song settings that we just haven't gotten to yet. This one that we'll hear today, there's another one that I'm pretty sure we're going to hear for As You Like It, and then there are some more. According to some research I did, he was not largely formally trained in music, but his piano parts are rather difficult and really inventive. The textures are really sort of bold and differentiated. I really like his music. Geoffrey Bush lived from 1920 to 1998, so Mervyn Horder died the year before Geoffrey Bush, so we kind of have this late 20th century flair to these composers. This piece was published in 1979, so if you think about what you might have been doing in 1979 or what culture was doing in 1979, it's not going to have anything to do with this piece. This piece is a setting of Shakespeare Songs, so yeah, not really. So with nothing to do with discos of the late 70s, here is Geoffrey Bush's setting of Sigh No More Ladies.
Sigh no more, ladies, sigh no more, men were deceivers ever. One forward in sea and one on shore, to one thing constant never. And sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your songs of woe into hey, nonny, hey, nonny, hey, 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 nonny, nonny. Sing no more ditties, sing no more of dumb so dull and heavy. The fraud of men was ever so, since summer first was levied. And sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe, converting all your sounds of woe into hey, nonny, hey, nonny, hey, nonny, hey, nonny, hey, nonny, hey, nonny, hey, 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 nonny, nonny.
And there you have it, another episode with 3 settings of the same text, kind of showing how many different ways composers could set inspiration by Shakespeare. Next episode will be As You Like It. There is a lot of music in As You Like It, and there are some very, very popular song settings, so it might even need to be broken down into 2 episodes. It might just be a really, really long episode. It kind of depends how long it takes me to record everything. So look forward to that, and maybe block out some time for As You Like It. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I encourage it. And share it with everybody you want. Share it with your friends if you love it. Share it with your enemies if you hate it and you want to make them listen to Shakespeare songs. This has been one of the briefer episodes in a while. Maybe I'm trying to keep it much ado about nothing. You know, I don't want there to be too much ado. I don't want to be just sitting here talking about nothing, you know, because that would be embarrassing and nobody wants to hear that. And at some point, I'm probably gonna just have to stop talking, and that would be